No wonder people are in love with no wonder why people were in love with this little touchpad thing. It's giving.
Okay, you know.
I can see myself. Nah, sorry.
No,
Couldn't be me.
Never to convert to Team Apple.
It's bad enough to have an iPhone.
Got an iPhone, AirPods, iPad,
Unpopular
MacBook.
opinion. What do you say? How you say it before when we first talked? Hot take.
That's a hot take.
Take.
That's a very unpopular opinion.
Hot take. Y'all only like iPhone because of iMessage. Hot take.
Absolutely.
And
not.
FaceTime.
And well, yeah. Yeah.
We were Uvuing before FaceTime was a thing, and now everybody are spoiled by the
Uvu's
FaceTime.
interface is lame.
Uvu was terrible.
You know, and the camera quality, even if you had a good quality phone, it was trash. So on FaceTime, I can see people's pores.
Shout out to all the girls that I used to Uvu. Who took the time to Uvu?
You probably could see people's with very. First of all, I don't know who Uvu. I guess it was like when you didn't want to pay for Skype. Was it when you didn't want to pay? Did Skype cost?
I feel like it used to at one point.
Yeah, it's hard to know because COVID has transformed how accessible a lot of those things are. But
yeah, I remember at one point, Skype had like credits. Because I vividly remember the credits, but I don't remember how the credits worked.
Like minutes almost?
Yeah. But Uvu was Uvu, Voxer, Kick. That was what I grew up on. Those are my three apps.
And Skype?
Technically.
I use Skype primarily if I was going to do any video.
Yeah?
Yeah, like...
I mean, I had a girlfriend I was Skyping. I think out of high school I was Skyping a girl, but I was also Uvuing. It was just like a...
I feel like I was Uvuing too, but it wasn't a very long period of time.
Uvu was very short-lived because it was trash.
Yeah.
And it always told people... It told you when people were online. I didn't like that. I don't like that. Don't let me know that I'm online. I don't care if I'm on the computer, especially because you'll be online and you see... That was not...
That's one thing about Apple that I don't love are read receipts.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm for the read receipts. I
Why?
want you to know that I read your message and I didn't reply.
Ouch. I respect it, and I'm sure I'm that person, but I'm also that person that doesn't get back to people within the same day often. So I don't want people to take offense to the fact that I've read it, but I'm not getting back to you immediately. It has nothing to do with you. It's a me thing.
Well, and that's the weird thing. Like for me, coming from Android, people didn't know that I would read their messages, not reply in that moment, and then come back and reply to them. And now people see it and they're like, dang, Bray left me on red. I said, I used to always leave you on red.
You just know now.
Yeah, you just know. I'm like, you thought I was just like not reading my message. I'm like, no, I'll read it. But if you need a more, I'll be like respectfully, I'm like, I'm not gonna give you like a weak answer. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna get back to you. And like when I sit down at my desk, and now people are seeing the red like, dang.
It hurts to be left on red. That's the other side of it. Even though I be leaving people on red, I also hate to be left on red.
So let me ask you. Do you double text?
What do you mean?
Like, do you like if you message somebody and they either didn't read it or they read it, are you a double text or are you like, I'm leaving it where it's at?
It depends on what it's about. Sometimes I'll come back with a little exclamation reaction to my message.
Let me just remind you.
Or a question mark if it's a question. Yeah, I'm still wondering.
Still trying to get some confirmation.
Mm-hmm. Still waiting. But yeah, I will circle back, and I appreciate people who circle back to me because sometimes I need that. Like a lot of times I think I've responded, but it's just a mental response. It's not like actual text response.
I'm gonna be real. I'm a type of person. I'm gonna keep messaging you until I realize, like, hold on, I'm talking to a wall at this point.
Well, that's why I feel like it's good most of the time. Like if it's wanted contact, but you know.
Well, I'm not saying like I got an argument with somebody and like, oh, you not finna reply to me?
Right.
I'm talking about like, you know, like you message somebody like, hey, bro, how you been? And they don't text you back. And I text them like maybe like a couple days later, you good, bro? I ain't heard from you in a minute.
Oh.
Or like, and then it's like, even then like, oh, and then they'll get back to you like a couple days later. I'm like, hey, that's what's up.
That's me. I don't normally. Sometimes I'll circle back depending on, but usually I'll like if I send that text, it's because I'm thinking of the person. I'm already crappy with messaging, so like this is my best at this time.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it. I am working to improve it because it's not like I would say that it's not the healthiest communication practice, especially when it comes to relationships you really care about, or even professional relationships.
Yeah.
It's kind of come back to bite me in those spaces.
I also think professional relationships for sure, because I've definitely been in a situation where it's like, well, not truly professional, but I've been in situations where you kind of like were haphazard with the relationship, and then you see them again, and they kind of still have strong feelings about something that was light to you. And like, I said, I didn't even know you felt that. I didn't even know you felt that deeply about it, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was that big of a problem.
Yeah, my fault. I didn't know we had different views on a relationship.
Yeah.
Well, one day we'll get better at communication. But guys, welcome to the Special Friends Podcast. I'm your boy Wuzi, and this
Professor B
is Professor B, and we're here for another episode. We got new chairs.
Yeah.
Got new chairs. We got a coffee table.
Yeah. New angle.
She has water. I got a rose gold laptop. We're not getting paid. I just want y'all to know.
We're moving up.
yeah, we're moving up. We're not. I just want y'all to know. Don't think the check is coming in yet. Yeah. But we're good.
Yeah, but we good. We got what we need.
I do want to say appreciate you guys as always for running up the episodes. I had a good time with Ashley last week, and can you guys do me a favor? If you enjoyed them, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. Leave us some questions. We want questions. Do you want questions?
We want questions. We're dealing with a question today.
We have a question.
From a viewer. Yeah, but we want to be able to like address a question every now and then.
Yeah, we want to list the questions.
Give us questions.
Yeah, like we want to know, because we're talking to the ether. It would be nice to know that you guys also have some questions. So I'm like I said, don't be nervous about the questions. Give us a question. Is there anything before we get into like anything, like how's the week? How has your week been?
It's pretty good. Pretty good week. It's finals week. So we're wrapping up. I had some great final classes with my students. They finished really strong in terms of like their delivery and performance. Mm-hmm. And I'm also excited to finish grading so I can ease into the summer break. I am teaching some summer classes, but I got some gifts.
You got gifts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a few Starbucks gift cards.
Okay, nice.
So grateful because I definitely developed a much more codependent relationship with Starbucks this semester. So I was grateful for that. And I got some really nice cards. I ran into a lot of students also that I had way back that are either in their senior year and about to graduate. And, they've given me some feedback on, how they remember my class and now they're moving on. And I don't know, it's just been a really rewarding week to come, to bring the semester to a close for me personally. But yeah, what about you?
Before that, what's a good gift to get a teacher at the end of the year?
Oh,
like, I mean, obviously Starbucks cards for you, but like,
I think if you're like paying attention to your professor, like something unique to their personality, like one of my students also works at a market. Shout out to Chloe. She gave me a gift card to get a full pie. First of all, pie is my favorite dessert of all time. More than cookies, more than cakes, more than ice cream. I love pie. So she got me a gift card for a free full pie. And pies are expensive. They're like $50 a lot of the time for a full one.
Pies aren't cheap.
A good quality one.
Yeah.
But also it's like eligible for fruit pies, cream pies, like whatever pie I want that I can get. Okay. So, but also in the past I've gotten things like I have like a tarot journal. One of my a class gifted me. They gave me this. Oh, not this cup, but it looks like this cup. And there's an apple on it that says #1 teacher.
Oh, wow.
I have an actual teacher, I have an actual apple figurine that says my name on it and the name of the class that I taught in the semester. So I'd say anything that's like, honoring the quality of the instructor, like #1 teacher, it always feels good to know that one student feels that way about you. Or buys you something to remind yourself that you should feel that way about you.
It's like, oh, dope.
Or else again, something personal, like freaking, I get a whole pie at some point this year, probably for my birthday.
Well, I'm so, like, you saying that, it really takes me back to, I remember my mom used to make me buy gifts for my teacher. And in my head, I'm like, I don't like that teacher. I mean, well, that's not true.
Only if you really
I used to love my teachers, but I'm like, I don't like them enough to get them a gift. Like, I want the money. I don't want to spend no money on them.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I think back on it now, like, shout out to my mom for being so like, such a dope person, because I'm pretty sure them teachers really appreciated them gifts.
We do. Like, is my voice picking up, by the way?
Yeah, when we turn up.
Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, there we go. I really like gifts.
Yeah.
But I don't ever expect them. This was one of the only other years I got gifts, and it was very surprising. I don't really ever expect them for that very reason. Like, I think my students should be spending their money on them. And for a long time, it's actually very difficult to receive them. I would be like, oh, no, it's okay. Please.
Please take back this East candy.
I can't take that. But now I'm like, thank you for being appreciative, because I appreciate you too. Yeah. And it can feel like a very thankless job. Mm-hmm. So when there are students who really appreciate you and they go out of their way to express that, it does go a long way in keeping your instructors and educators motivated, in my opinion. Just like students need a grade, mm-hmm. I think teachers need a thank you.
That makes sense.
You know, it doesn't even have to be a gift. Like, one of my students she only gave me a card, and that was enough of a gift. Yeah. You know, of how much she enjoyed the class, what she enjoyed. So anyway, not to ramble there, but
that's not ramble. I mean, that's pretty insightful. You know, I know only one teacher. Shout out to Tay, one of my favorite teachers. Sorry, it's biased. See. Okay. But yeah, shout out to Tay.
Well, I wasn't your teacher, so that's okay.
Yeah, he wasn't my teacher, but he became a teacher, and I think he's a dope dude. Shout out to Tay again.
Shout out to Tay. It's okay.
But yeah, this thing is pretty cool. Like, I took that for granted as a kid. Like, I'm not buying my teacher now. We did, but I'm like, I don't want to buy my teacher. I want to low key get her something for $5 and give me the rest of the 15.
Yeah, I actually never got my teacher's gifts either.
Really?
Yeah, except for when I graduated grad school. I want to say I got my advisor's gifts, but I might not have actually. It's overdue. Now that I'm grown up, maybe I'll circle back.
Mm-hmm. Hey, let me go ahead and.
Thanks for being my mentor for the past over 10 years.
Yeah, that's okay. No, that's okay. Give some gifts.
As long as it's thoughtful. Okay. I mean, as long as it's intentional, right? Yeah. Whether it's 10 years or immediately, 10 years later or immediately.
But yeah, I had a decent week. What did I do this week? I don't even know what this week looks like. I just feel like since the last time we talked, I feel like it's been working and running. Like I'm going out of town today. I'm going to LA. Shout out to Charles for his graduation. So I'm going to LA for that.
Congratulations, Charles.
Yeah, be going down there, doing another interview for the Creative Balance Show. And just really staying busy, honestly. Like, kind of like getting nervous. Cause I'm like looking at my to-do list. I'm like, it's looking like a healthy to-do list now. So it's like trying to like gauge like last week I had an interview. We didn't really like schedule a set time. So I kind of just took that moment and was like, you know what? I'm gonna stay home. So last weekend I did absolutely nothing. I just lounged around, walked, just you just do dumb stuff, going outside just to go outside. So yeah, the last couple of weeks it's been dope. After that weekend I came back like, yeah, let's get to it. So yeah. The week has been going. I don't know how to explain it. I've never been good at. Obviously we talked about before. Like I'm not really like good at like how the week went. Like the week just it was a good week.
Yeah, I remember you saying you don't like that question.
What was that? The work.
Or how's work?
How's work is crazy. But like the week, I would say I had a good week. I'll say it like that.
Yeah.
On a scale from on a scale from 1 to 10, I give it about 7.
Okay.
I think it was no. We shouldn't use 7, 6 or 8.
What's wrong with 7?
7 is a cop out. Okay. Shout out to KS.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll say last week is a 6.
Okay.
I'll say last week is a 6, which is not bad. It's just a little bit better than neutral.
Okay. Well, yeah. Last week I got a lot of feedback, but honestly, I would give it a strong 8.
Yeah.
For me, last week and this week is an 11.
Nice. That's what's up.
But it's cool. Do you think yours is okay? Sorry.
Do you think I would?
Well, I was gonna say if it's out of 6, you think you need a rest day to kind of like bring it up to an 8?
Well, no, that's because like I had the rest day. Because like before the rest day was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Before
what
the
was
rest
it at
day,
before the rest day?
Before the rest of it, I was probably sitting there like a 4 for sure.
Okay, so this is an improvement.
Oh yeah, like before the rest of it, I was just like you're sitting there dreading it. I was just sitting there like literally just like laying like this. Like I really don't want to get on the freeway. Cause I like literally it was a Friday. I'm like I have to drive to Fresno. I'm like I really don't want to. I really don't want to, and I didn't. I was like I'm not going to. I choose not to, and I'm so glad I did because that whole weekend I was just like I said I was just like a little kid. I'm like like you ever been like a little kid, and it's summer vacation, and there's nothing planned, and you're just kind of like, you just walk around and like now you have a car, so I'm like an adult kid. Just like let me just drive to this place. I don't even know what I did last week. I just drove places and. Just sat around, did stuff, cleaned up. I love cleaning up.
Oh, me too. Just enjoyed having time.
Yeah, like vacuuming. Oh, I went and got these chairs.
That's right.
And I went and talked shout out to Amy and Roger. That's where I bought the chairs from.
Thank you, Amy and Roger. We love them.
Yeah, they were selling them. I sat there and talked to them. They gave me a lot of food recommendations. If you need food recommendations, I got some. Carmelitas.
Up here?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I looked at Yelp. I was trying to come up here to a coffee shop, but I couldn't find one in particular to like settle into. Yeah. But
Fast Cat's black owned.
That actually came up number 1 on Yelp.
And they have a grilled cheese bar.
I might wait. Well, anyway, good to know.
Yeah. But guys, we got some topics today we wanted to talk about. I want to ask you, I don't know, where do you want to start on this list?
Let's start at the top.
Start at the top? You want to talk about
Fat Nasty Podcast?
Big shout out to the Fat Nasty Podcast. I just recently found them, and I'm kind of addicted. I really like the vibe. I don't know how long they've been doing it, but I'm definitely a fan, and definitely have made them one of our mentors. Like, kind of like the way that they go about things. So, yeah, I was watching one of their podcasts. They had some guests on there, Mr. and Mrs. 2 Weeks Out. And they're like a 40-year-old couple. I think he's 41 and she's 40, going to be 41. And they've been together since they were like 17. So there was some relationship questions in there, some business questions in there. It was really insightful conversation. I don't know did you get to watch it?
I did get to watch it. I watched most of the episode and the viral video.
Yeah.
From Twitter.
But the viral video from Twitter had me weak, but we'll get into that.
We'll get there, yeah.
I do want to give a big shout out to the Fat Nasty Podcast. If you guys do us a favor, just check it out. At least check out that episode because the episode was really good.
That gives some good context to this part of our episode.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, they talked about relationships, and I want to talk about the major one that they talked about because they talked about how they don't believe relationships are 50-50. And I like this conversation, and I kind of I wanted to explore it with you guys. So Allie, like, how did you feel about what they were saying about 50-50 relationships?
I agree. I think kind of the point that they were making it is that ratio should be negotiable throughout the relationship. Sometimes you're going to be able to give 70 and the other person can only give 30. And obviously this is not in terms of like effort putting into the relationship. We're talking about providing and supporting, correct me if I'm wrong, but providing and supporting on a financial level.
Yeah.
Right? Primarily supporting the household. Yeah. So yeah, I think that sometimes it's going to vary, especially because there are times in life where like you have to choose passion over money. And when you have a partner that supports you, sometimes like these two, that's going to mean at first I have to take a significant pay cut in order to get that gain.
And they took a fat pay cut. He said he went from making what?
$2,000 a month. I mean, $2,000 a week to $2,000 a month.
Yeah, exactly. Which is crazy. Like, I mean, it's like I said, that's not like the most wild because it's only, that's like some people live on that for real.
That's $6,000 less.
Yeah.
In income.
Yeah, but I'm saying like some people live on that, so I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's not possible, but
no, but
going from a certain lifestyle to that.
Yeah, going from $8,000 to $2,000 a month from your partner's income, that's a significant shift.
Yeah, that's a big shift. But he chose passion. He's they own a gym in Atlanta, and he does workout
fitness training.
Yeah, he's a trainer for fitness, and he said he really loved it. You know, he had to do it, but I kind of want to really talk on the 50-50 part because I 100% agree, and I've never agreed with the 50-50. I've never agreed with the she got to come with something like you said. It just depends where you guys are in life. You know, like I'm not saying go get a bum, whether you're a girl or a boy, but you know, be cognizant that if you make significantly more, like that doesn't mean that person is less than, you know, because they could be, like I said, they could be, God knows what, they could be, you know, they like to work with in a convalescent home. So they might not make the most money, but if that's what they love to do, they like working with elderly folks and stuff like that. Like, does that make them less of a person, you know? So,
yeah.
Yeah, I really liked how he talked about that because he really talked about how they held it down. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week about like how long are you willing to hold it down for? And like that was, to me, it was cool like to go from that conversation to didn't see that and see like a real world example. Like obviously it wasn't 10 years, but to see a real world example of like her being at the top of her top of her career and him being like, yeah, I'm a take this, you know, take this lesser thing because I really love to do it. And I think I wanted to talk about too something she said, because she was talking about even in that moment where he made that decision and the money wasn't coming in, she had to like check herself and like kind of like not put that pressure on him. And I wanted to like get your thoughts on that. Like, do you think, like, what do you think about that, about her saying something like that?
I think that was great self-reflection on her part, because you know, when it comes, there's a difference between providing like financially and providing support in a relationship, you know. And I think she did a great job of setting the example of what it looks like to provide support, true support. I think in the movie we were Acrimony, I feel like she was providing financially. I don't feel like she was providing support.
Yeah.
And support is emotional. Support is encouragement. It's not being negative or degrading or discouraging. I don't know if I said that already, but it's being empowering to your partner. And if that means, okay, I'm going to support you, and you can have boundaries. I mean, I'm personally not the type to put a timeline on success, because it's God's timeline, not mine and not my person's. Mm-hmm. So I believe in divine timing and not pushing, not rushing that. But at the same time, I would say I don't want to be in a relationship where I've been providing so much support that now when I need it, you can't give it to me.
Yeah.
You know, then that's a problem.
And that's the biggest thing. Like, I think, and I can only assume, because I don't know what goes to work in a relationship, but I imagine there was support, like at least that type of support on both sides, because obviously, you know, he understands, like we talked about before, you would understand if you see your wife under duress, even if she doesn't speak it, and that will do something to you where it's like, okay, I gotta, you know, relieve her in some way. Like you said, and that we talked about that last week too. It doesn't always look like financially. It could be like, okay, I'm gonna watch the kids for her, or I'm gonna make sure when she gets home that
dinner's ready,
care of, like stuff like that is ready to help relieve that already like, oh, what are we gonna do, you know, like situation. So I thought that was a really dope conversation. Obviously talking about Michelle Obama and they had to bring her up, you know, because the whole where she said the 30-year marriage, 10 years of it was bad and whatnot, and everybody's bringing up that phrase lately.
I didn't catch that part of the podcast.
Okay, yeah, she was. They were just basically talking about like, did you see that there was a separate podcast where I think we talked about it too. The Michelle Obama and she was on a podcast and she was saying of her 30-year marriage with Barack Obama, 10 years of it was like garbage.
We did talk about it.
Yeah, and she had to go through that.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I feel like they touched on it, basically saying like they're like the modern day version of like, y'all said it was rough times, but here y'all are, and they were shining an example.
Yeah. I think it changes over time, you know?
Exactly.
But one thing about that, I don't know if you were planning to move on to the next question, but
Go ahead.
I did want to talk a little bit more about what she said, what Mrs. 2 Weeks Out was referencing in terms of like kind of responding to how he works with other women that he's training.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, explain what the situation was.
So she talks about how, you know, if other women that are working with him come in, if they don't speak to her, she takes offense to it and essentially will tell him he can't work with her because she finds it disrespectful.
Yeah,
and
they have a gym together.
Yeah. But I think that I understand her approach, so I'm not saying it's wrong. I think it's if it works for them, it works for them. But for me, if she's his client, there's just like a couple things for me there. It's like, one, in terms of our relationship, if the problem is how you're recording clients and as they're working out, like, you should know what's the appropriate way to record your clients.
Yeah.
That would make me feel comfortable and still highlight them, for one. Two, like, I personally wouldn't want to be micromanaging my man's, like, interactions like that. If anything, I would want him to be checking that kind of stuff. So I thought that was an interesting perspective on her end. Is like, when you come in, you speak to me, and if not, then you're not really gonna be able to work with my husband. I feel like if you're having a gym where you co-own it, then it's important for both of you to create the environment where everyone's aware of that and respectful of that. But I guess I don't know, maybe she was saying that they do that. You know, she's all over his Instagram, but I'm not on Instagram. So if I'm just coming into this gym based off of referral, I don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it would kind of be more, if you're the business owner, kind of more on you to set that tone and maybe have a more mature conversation with clients as opposed to just like kicking them out. But
well, I will say this, because in the podcast she talked about it and she gave more context. She said she never had to do it except for one person.
Okay.
One person was just blatantly like ignoring her. Except
for the take it down posts, which she says she does.
Oh yeah. But that makes sense. Like you said, I can see that. You know, if I'm posting on my story, a girl with the leggings that people have now, you know, dropping a squat on my personal story. If my wife was like, "All right, now you didn't have your fun, take it down." I'm taking it down.
Just post me too.
Post me too. Post me doing the squats.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not a competition to me. Like, they're his clients. They're not. If you're really secure in your relationship, you're secure in yourself. To me, I feel like that sort of micromanaging adds a lot more work than you should have to do.
Yeah.
But that's for me. Again, it's working for them. So it's not a critique on her, but.
And I will say too that I think different generation.
True.
Like I said, they're
like 10 years older than us.
Yeah. So that is a respectful thing. 'Cause, you know, that's not, if they weren't, you know, they're not raised in where that's normal.
Yeah.
So like for you to post on your stories like.
And well, you know, that's true, because actually even myself, like, I would say the norms of like how to navigate, you know, friends who are married, that the norms about that are not explicitly discussed in our generation. Whereas I feel like before, if they weren't discussed, they were better known because of their parents' generation. So like, and I could be wrong. I'd be curious if people that are in other generations, older generations, watch us, if they have thoughts on that. But,
and that's what I feel like. I feel like she was justified in what she was saying. I think, especially like when you think of like how they're branded, Mr. and Mrs. 2 Weeks Out.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, she wasn't working in the gym full time, and now she officially retired and is working in the gym full time. Has a clothing brand attached to it, like all these different things. She has her own workout plan there. I'm not gonna say the first time. Obviously, if she kicked them out the first time, it's kind of wild. But I can see the thing where it's like, if you come in and you know you're gonna come work out with my husband, and then you're like not gonna say hi to me. Yeah, it's kind of like walking to someone's house and not saying hi, even if you're coming in there for your auntie and it's your, you know, she married your uncle, married. You know, you got a married uncle. You're like, I don't really talk to Leroy like that. Like, I don't gotta say hi to him. Like, respectfully, you should say hi to him, because it's equally his house like it is her house if they're married together. So that's the way I saw, like, if you're coming into their house, how you gonna say hi to him and not say hi to her?
Yeah.
Even if you're coming for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not there yet in any relationship, so I'm having a hard time really
Well, you ever
understanding.
remember as a kid? Did you ever have that household as a kid where you're going to someone's house and before, even if you're going there to see your friend,
Well,
you
yeah.
gotta say hi to the mom and dad.
It's not so much that for me. Like, I'm just thinking of this from a business perspective. Like, I think I know they're branded together, but I think of even just like our podcast, we both bring in different people to watch what we're talking about. Some people know me way better than they know you.
Yeah.
Some people are just now meeting you.
Yeah.
And I think of their business like that. Some people are going to come in and not know who she is.
Exactly.
Just because you're branded together, I think it's like
that's fair.
Unfair to assume that people should know who you are as it relates to the other owner of the business.
And that was mostly the arguments I heard was like, you know, it was like it's kind of like an entitlement thing. Like, how do we know that's your
husband?
And then she also said she has resting, B-word face.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go approach you if you have RBF. I'm sorry, that's a you problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Work on being more friendly, and if you know you have RBF, to me, I'm like, then come say hello, and create that kind of more like comfortable space.
Yeah.
Right, because I've also been in spaces where like I haven't been introduced to a friend or acquaintance's person, but they're in the space and I don't know how to navigate because they haven't
we never had a conversation.
They haven't introduced me, so I'm like, are
they not important?
How do I? Not even are they not important, but yeah, in terms of like my experiencing this environment in space right now, how are they relating to my experience? And if she's not pouring into me working out, if she's not helping me learn how to use these machines, I'm sorry, I might see you just as another person working out here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean no disrespect to Mrs. 2 Weeks at all, because I respect where she's coming from 100%. I would want to be respected too. But yeah, I think that there's a little bit of a generational difference in terms of like what she expects people, or particularly women, how she expects women to treat her in her gym. It's just... women are probably going for her hot husband. Just be real and own that shit. Own the shit. Own that ish.
And I will say that too. Like I think she knows that, but I think it's just like there's still like. I think that generation is better at that than we are. Where it's like, I know they came for you, but at least respect me. Like I know you're not gonna really do nothing with him.
Yeah, but like, respect me.
Yeah, respect me. That's how I see it. It was like, if you would come in here, especially if I'm thinking about like a gym where it's like no one goes to the same the gym one time. Like that the first time I'm pretty sure it's rare, but if you come in consistently and you've never said hi to her,
yeah, that is a problem. Then.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Especially if you're like, he's a good looking dude, he's buff, especially for his age. I'm like, so she's like, I know you're coming in here for him. You want to work out with him. He's the hottest trainer in Atlanta right now. Yeah, but at least say hi to me. Can I get a hi?
Yeah, and that's fair. I think that's a fair request to ask. But they should just put rules up. When you come in, my wife. Say hello. Like. Yeah, no, say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Yeah. 2 weeks out. I just feel like just put it out there so everyone knows, and with a little smiley face on it.
A little smiley face on it, make it light.
Yeah, she doesn't have to do the RBF face work. It's on the signs and the rules. The friendliness is there.
But I will say this. I feel like people, not always, but I feel like a lot of people who have RBF are some of the nicest people I've ever met. I know a lot of people who have that face. They're like, oh, they look mean. I'll talk to them. I'm like, oh, they're actually kind of cool. Really? I'm like, yeah, they're kind of lit. But I've also never been, my aunt has that face. I have family members with that face. So for me, that face don't really faze me like it does some people. I'm like, what you over here thinking about?
I feel like RBF is not like a result of just like a natural face. I feel like it truly is like somebody's inner dissatisfaction with life just showing up on their face permanently. And so I personally, I don't know, there are a handful of people who I think can be nice and perhaps even kind, even with RBF, but off top, if your face looks like I don't want to talk to anybody, and I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Well, I'm not saying. I'm saying like because like example like if I think about my own face, and this is like getting into it because I kind of was learning about this a little bit. Like, you know, like I have you see my forehead have forehead wrinkles. It's only because I have lower eyes. Like because like for me to open my eyes, I have to raise my eyebrows, and like this is obviously your eyebrows are raised. It's more like an opening face. Like, oh, I will talk to him. Like, and people always do it to me. Like I'm sitting there like, can I ask you a question? Can you help me get this off the top shelf, please? But if I'm just like, you know, if you have more downward features, some people have like that slant. They look more downward
with their brows.
Yeah, it gives that appearance of like, yeah, I don't want to talk to them. They look like they're an evil villain.
Yeah, that's true. I could see that.
And I'm like, I'm not saying that's the case for all people, because there's some people who are just like mugging. Like you see people who are like, hey, what's wrong with him? Who pissed in his Cheerios? Like I don't know what's going on. But I will say a lot of times people that I've seen with RBF. Yeah, RBF. I'll make sure I rather put them in the right order. I don't know. They're the nicest people. Like my aunt, she has that face, but she'll buy you a meal. You know, but if you saw her, like, and we've had it all the time. Like we'll go to a restaurant, and people will see us, and they be like, "We don't want them." And then the people will come, and they're like, "They're actually kind of dope," and they gave us a big tip, like, "Oh, y'all was tripping," but. You know, it's hard to tell somebody like look past that face, because there's a lot of people with that face and they don't really want to talk.
Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of people in this world that don't want to be bothered, so they give RBF on purpose.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't know, if you really were a people person, you'll smile more. You'll find a way to look more approachable to people or invite people to come talk to you if it's not something you can fix aesthetically. But I teach my students about RBF a lot, because sometimes they'll have that while they're speaking, and like it's not effective. You're turning off the entire audience just by looking bored and disinterested in your very own speech. Yeah. In your very own talking. That's in your interaction with this audience who's taking their own time to listen to you.
Exactly.
So I don't think it's asking too much for people who know they have RBF to smile a little more.
Yeah, exactly.
Just you work on your approachability if you want to have.
Your eyes, bro.
You know, if you want people to say hello, like this is 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
You know, respectfully, but
I want to say too, like, because to her situation, we kind of talked about this before the podcast too, about like having a stand, like at what point, like having this feeling about something, where's the line in like respecting that feeling, and then where's the line in like appeasing that, like where, like how do you navigate that? I know it's a tough question to ask, but I'm like, it's something I was thinking about, like in that situation.
What do you think?
I think it just comes from how I get where it's coming from. The place is coming from is how I see it. Like if it's coming from a genuine place, you know, like it's hard not to appease it, especially, you know, if it's like something light. But then I can also see the other side where it's like, or I mean, not appease it, respect it. Like, okay, I'm gonna respect how you feel and this and that, whatever. And then it's like, there's also a line where it's like, how do I know this is not going to be like
a problem?
A problem.
Well, you know, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, you know, it is important to protect your relationship and your marriage. You gotta do your thing. You gotta do what you can to protect it and make sure people understand the boundaries. Yeah. You know, and obviously it's on her husband, but I can respect the fact that she's also making clear what their boundaries of their marriage are, making clear I'm here. Yeah. Not you.
Well, he also mentioned too, he's like, which is adds to it. He's like, I always make sure there's. She said that something that she always appreciated about him is that he always like has a space for her in everything he's doing. You know, like there's some way that she can help, somewhere that she's always like he's always, even if she don't take take it. There's always like an idea like, how can I incorporate her in this? And I'm pretty sure that helps out a whole lot. Yeah. But I was just thinking about that because, you know, even something like, you know, interpersonal relationships, like regular relationships with like friends and stuff like that. Like we talked about before about, you know, texting, you know, like how many times can someone say no before it's like you take it personal, stuff like that. Like, I always think about that. Like, at what point, like, is it? I mean, obviously, it's always based on the person, But like, at what point do it's like, all right, like that's just how they are, or like, nah, you need to.
You need to do some internal reflection and some growth.
Yeah.
I think in this case, like I said, but at the start, like it's working for them. You know, it's a communication that works for him. It's a communication style that works for her. And it doesn't require her to make herself smaller or like change her energy or attitude when she's at work or in that space, because it is her space.
Exactly. And
she does deserve to be empowered fully in that space. So I think they're going about it the right way. And I think you're right. It's all about the intention. That's really the root of it all. So I don't know, shout out to them for giving us so much to reflect on and think about.
Yeah, I mean, been together for 17 years. I think that's really, really dope. Like,
yeah, that's
like
impressive.
admirable.
My grandparents are celebrating their like 60-year anniversary this summer.
Oh wow, that's so dope. Renewing vows or what?
I don't think so.
Have they ever renewed vows?
I don't think so.
Oh, interesting.
Should ask him about that.
Yeah, I always I like the idea of renewing vows. It's like, you know, reasserting that love. It's kind of dope.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm curious. I'd have to ask them if they've ever done that now. But I don't. At least in my time of living, I don't think so.
Okay. So I do. You know, while we're here, I do want to kind of talk about. I guess, like I said, we had a special friends question.
Oh yes.
We had someone ask us to answer a question. And like I said, if you're watching this and you're in the comments, just let us know a question. Like I'm always in the comments. I'm not gonna lie. If we're on comments on either on YouTube or if you got us on Instagram, leave us a comment, send us a message of a question you want us to answer. And you know, if it's something that we feel like we can answer, I think it'll be pretty dope. But we had someone, specifically my sister, reach out and she wanted us to answer the question, what makes someone a healed person? So I kind of want you to go first.
Yeah?
Or do you want me to go first?
I feel like you should go first. It's your sister.
Shout out to my sister.
Shout out to your sister.
But you said something before we started that was really dope. Like, there's a difference between being like a healed person and like a healing person. And I feel like there's no like, I feel like you said, both are good. But I feel like what makes someone a person who's healed or healing is like basically like the overcoming of the issue, you know, because we don't want to mix or conflate being aware with being healed. Like, some people are aware of their problems and they like double down.
Yeah.
Or they're aware of their problems and just feel like there's nothing they can do about it. And I feel like a healed person is like aware, but it's also like, you know, there's like an action behind that. Like, even if it's not today, like they're working towards overcoming whatever circumstances they're in. And that's how I designate if someone's a healed person, like, or is healing. Because it's like, are they in the process of overcoming this issue? Or are they just like, no, this is how I am? Because I've met both people and I've been both people.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was trying to make. I think it's like, well, first you have to consider, like, what is it that you're healing? And for all of us, we're healing some form of pain, you know? So being aware of the fact that you're in pain and wanting to do something about said pain, because a lot of people are comfortable in it too, you know, because it's normal to them. You gotta think about, like, when all you've known is your trauma and how you respond to it, changing up your whole approach to life and letting go of the narrative that you're in pain can be a lot harder than living out not being in pain. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I think that it's important to be like, either there are a lot of lost souls, unhealed souls, hurting souls in the world that are in pain, whether they know it or not, and doing nothing about it. But there is a good percentage of people also that are out there addressing the pain or identifying the pain points. And that would be the healing people who are in healing. But then you also have people who have healed a lot of the traumas. And for me, the way that I differentiate that is, you know, when you're healed, one second.
Go ahead. Do your thing.
Here we go. Okay. So I wrote, like, there are varying degrees to healing. And a healing person basically can acknowledge that they're hurt. And they can acknowledge how their hurt impacts other individuals, right? Or how their pain affects how they show up in their relationships, or really any given environment. But a healed person, they can remember the pain of a trauma and appreciate it as a loving life lesson. You get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can take that pain, you can remember it, but you can also appreciate basically the scar that exists now. It's not a open wound or a kind of like scabbed wound. It is scarred, but you look at it like, you know, battle wounds.
Yeah.
The wisdom I got was worth it, even though it was a lot of pain. And in having that appreciation for the life lesson, a healed person can take it a step further and apply that wisdom so that they can show up better for themselves or in the relationships that are important to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's accountability. So, but I think that there are a lot of people that are between that space of they're either healing and identifying their pain points, or they've taken the wisdom and they're starting to apply it in their life and helping others.
Well, I feel like people even shift back and forth.
Yes.
I feel like some people can be healed, but you might be faced with a situation that takes you back. And you're like, okay,
Triggered.
I thought I was fully healed, and I'm like, yeah, nah, this really took me there. And I'm pretty sure we've all been there where it's like, yeah, I'm good, like I've been through that, I'm done, and then like somebody says something like, what'd you just say to me?
I guess I'm
Do you
still
know what
healing
I've been
that.
through?
Yeah. It's like, I guess I'm still healing that. Like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I also think that like when I say like a healed person, I also mean that in terms of different traumas. I don't mean that as a whole person. I think you can heal different traumas and move on with your life happily and restored.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's harder to do depending on the depth of it and where that pain is located. Sometimes that pain is very complex and it's not very easy to remove.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I think that's kind of my answer to what makes someone healed. It's like their awareness of the pain and then what they do with that awareness of the pain.
Well, I was gonna say too, like, what are some characteristics of a healed person? Because like the first one that came to mind was like empathy.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people who are healed, who have went through some hardships and like overcame them and like are happy with life on the other side of that. You know, I'm not saying like that every healed person is happy with life on the other side, but like some people who have overcome and not like let that disable them in life. I feel like they have a lot of empathy. I feel like they're very, very empathetic.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like that's one of the characteristics. And I was just trying, like, that's why I asked the question, like, what are some characteristics of a healed person? Because I feel like there's depending on the type of person, there is different ones, you know, like.
I think empathy and then a sense of security. Like a healed person, it's not like your sense of personal peace, or I guess you could say confidence is, it's not easily broken. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll use this example. I personally have experienced quite a lot. Let me keep that open.
You're good.
I personally experienced a lot, and I feel people remember me more as like in my healing form. Let me remember where I was going with this. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Characteristics. And I was talking about security. I feel like for a long time, people could say things about me to me that would cause my ego to feel bruised, feel insecure. Insecure is the word. But as I've started to like address my own insecurities, I have a lot more security within myself when people bring things up that used to make me triggered, like comments about my size and my body. People telling me I'm too skinny and I'm flat as a board, need to put, I need to eat more food. But like, people could tell me that now, and first of all, I would think, well, your opinion about me is not my business. But the second thing is I've done my own work in coming to love my body at all of its sizes. In my, like most petite kind of slender self, where I know I do need to be eating more. I know it's a measure of like not the best health, but I can still love my body in that and not feel ashamed in spite of people making comments on it, because I've healed that part of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was like a little long-winded in trying to explain, but
no, I mean, I think it was needed because you had to explain the context around it.
yeah,
But
I think security, like having security around yourself, that's important.
I feel like another thing too is like affectionate, and not
Yeah.
like maybe not like affectionate, but like kind of like checking in on people. Like I feel like people who are like attentive,
Yeah.
I feel like not always, but I feel like that's a common characteristic of somebody who might have healed from something, because they, I know I've been, especially like, dealing with, like low grade depression and all stuff like that. Like I know I'm big on like checking in on people. Like, let me call somebody randomly. Hey, how you been? Haven't heard from you in a while. Or just text somebody that random message like, hey, you don't gotta respond, but like just want to let you know I think about you, love you, appreciate you, blah, blah, blah. Like stuff like that. Not saying that I'm healing, but like,
But you're checking in.
yeah, but I feel like people that I know who have healed from their stuff, they were very attentive with me.
See, I think attentive is a nice alternative word to affectionate, but because for some people, like affection does not come easy, but they can be very attentive. But I agree that whichever you are, I would say I'm more affectionate too, because I'm not really checking in, but I will hold space, and hug people who need a hug, or cry with someone who needs a really good cry. That's where I can show my affection. And I forgot what the other word is I just said. Attentiveness. So I would agree. We've got the characteristics of attentiveness, affectionate, we've got empathetic, and secure.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair.
That's pretty fair.
Help you guys out as far as healed. I mean, like I said, if there's anything you feel like we missed, go ahead and let us know.
Yeah, tell us if you'd add anything to that list of characteristics.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty dope. So I did did you want to get into what's been going on in the news, or do you want to kind of go touch on the good, bad, and the ugly?
Ooh.
I know we left a little bit on the cutting room table last time, but I don't know if there's, if you want to talk about what's been going on in the week, because we got a couple things.
Let's get into what's going on right now.
Okay. Which one? What's the most interesting to you right now? Because there's a lot been going on.
We've got the writer's strike to talk about, Kanye's recent outfit with his recent wife, Bill Gates' commencement speech. Let's start there.
Bill Gates?
But I didn't have a chance to watch it. That's the only thing.
Okay, it's okay. It wasn't long.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Super meaty.
Let's talk about it for a little bit, since shout out to my students who just wrapped up spring 2023. I feel like this is I know my students are also watching our podcast, and I feel like they could be inspired by some of the things the words of wisdom that he left.
Yeah, and I also will put the resources links in the bio below, so you guys can check it out, because Bill Gates has like a blog called Gates Notes. Oh. And that's where I got the commencement speech. You can it wasn't a video, but you can actually read the transcript. Okay. So I ended up reading it. And he gave 5 pieces of advice, because he never graduated. So he said he thought about what advice would I give, like what advice would I had needed if I did graduate? What was the commencement speech that I never got that I always needed? And so those are the 5 pieces of advice that he had. And the first one was, and I was going to run through them real quick. The first one was, life isn't a one-act play. 2, you're never too smart to be confused. 3, gravitate towards work that solves an important problem. 4, don't underestimate the power of friendship. And 5, you're not a slacker if you cut yourself some slack. And obviously there's depth to all those, but I thought it was a really good commencement speech. I would say read it, but shout out to Bill Gates first of all, to like all the philanthropy work that he does. as busy. I'm pretty sure he's a busy man to still have the time to do stuff like this, like give commencement speeches and, you know, even acknowledge that. Listen, I never even graduated, honestly, so I don't even know. Like, to be honest, be like, I don't know where y'all at right now. But this is in my head. If I sit here and think about it, this is what I imagine. And I think for me, the ones that stood out the most to me was the life isn't a one-act play. And I'll start with that one first because he basically speaks about, like, imagine if he saw himself when he started Microsoft, that was it. Like, you know.
Yeah. Listen.
Huh?
I was just talking to one of my students about this today.
Yeah, and I was saying, like,
yeah,
we saw that with rest in peace. We saw that with Kobe Bryant too. Like, imagine if Kobe Bryant only saw himself as Kobe Bryant, number 8, number 24 basketball player. It's like, no, he retired and try to go to a film career. Like, there is different, you know, your life has different avenues and different acts, and for that to be his first one, that was like really dope to me because I'm, you know, sometimes I think to myself, kind of we talked about right now about the healing stuff, like we have different journeys of our lives. Sometimes we can feel like, oh, this is who I am. It's like, that's not always true. There's different versions of you.
And I'm gonna keep evolving.
Yeah,
you got to leave space to keep evolving. So I was talking to one of my students today, Elvis. Shout out Elvis. We were talking about he recently got into Berkeley.
Nice.
And congratulations to him. Yeah. And, you know, one of the cool things about Elvis is how determined he is and clear-minded he is about his goals and what he wants to do, you know. But in transferring, and this is the advice I give to a lot of my students, when you're in undergrad, I'm like, do not limit yourself to graduating in 4 years if you can help it. For one, give yourself plenty of time to figure out who you are.
Yeah.
Go back to the stuff you enjoyed doing as a kid. Instead of pursuing a career that your adult self has told you is going to make you money, because the reality is it might make you money, but it's likely not going to bring you fulfillment if it's not truly aligned with who you actually are.
Yeah.
And in college, it's like you really are figuring out who you actually are.
Yeah.
There's only a small percentage of students who know that. But even still, they're going to change, and we're all going to change, whether you're in school or not. So I like to tell my students, like, if I could go back, I would have pursued certifications and things like yoga certification or massage therapy. I would have worked at an art store and learned how to teach art. It's kind of like, instead of just being so focused on getting this degree in 4 years, and I know that I'm very much focusing on school and college, but that's how I can resonate with this,
life, yeah.
You know. But I'm still pursuing these other acts, if you will. You know, and I encourage my students to just kind of like, you know, you're writing the script right now. You don't even have to like participate in the full play and production yet. Enjoy writing the script.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know. But anyway,
that's why I like how I got a friend named Chris, and he always explains it. We both video game nerds, so we always explain it in video game terms. He's like, yeah, bro, we all got side quests. You know, we got to do a couple side quests, you know. What? Sorry.
There's a TikTok. No,
TikTok about that. About what?
Yeah, the quests.
What?
People. There's this TikTok about people who tend to have addictions. I think it was like you might need to cut this because I don't even know if this is cool, but because addiction is real, drugs are bad, and I don't mean to make fun of people struggling with addiction, but on TikTok they're talking about how people who are on meth always have some sort of quest that they're on.
I mean,
and the quests get harder and more crazy the more desperate they get.
That's pretty funny though.
And people in the comments of that particular, I don't remember the video, like where it is at this point. I'm sure people can find it, but in the comments, people who had overcome addiction were like, as a former addict, I can attest we do have lots of quests.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like,
so yeah, we do all have side quests, but sober or not.
Yeah, I'm from Fresno, so I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of adventurers out there.
Yeah.
And they definitely like they're on a mission.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how me and my friend Chris described it, is we know we all had different side quests. Like, example, this for me, like, there was a point in time where my only goal was to buy a home. Like that was it. Like by any means necessary. Like it was just, if I had to work 2 jobs, if I had to work, if I had to get certification, if I had to, whatever it takes to buy a house, that was like my North Star. That was what all it was. And I need to find her. I think her name was Sydney. Shout out to her. She's my real estate agent at the time, or was going to be my real estate agent. Remember talking to her about it. And
Sydney?
Yeah, Bauer. Last name Bauer.
No, I was thinking.
She's in Fresno.
Oh, okay. No, I'm thinking of Sydney in Sacramento.
Oh no, yeah, it's a lady named Sydney Bauer.
Now I gotta look up her last name so I give her a shout out. But keep going.
Yeah, but we were talking, and she was just like, I was explaining. I had to load my notebook, and I was like I came in there like man on a mission. Like it really was no other. Sat down. Yeah, this is what I'm looking at. I know this is probably my ideal budget, but I want to know, how does my down payment affect this, blah blah blah. Like really got into it. And I remember she sat down. She's like, yeah, like you got it really all figured out. But I just want to ask you a question. Like, can you see yourself working at Save Mart for at least 15 more years? Because at the time I was working at Save Mart, I was working part time at my family restaurant. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I gotta do what I gotta do. She's like, no, but like, can you see yourself working there for 15 more years? Like, are you okay working there for 15 more years? I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm 21. How old would I be in 15 years? And
36.
Like, yeah, exactly. I was like, dang. I'll be 36 still at Save Mart. I said, that sounds trash.
Really?
For me, I mean,
for you.
I love Save Mart.
Yeah.
But I never saw myself as a career Save Mart employee.
Yeah.
But if I'm there till 36, I mean, it's hard to say I'm not a career employee. I've been there. That's a long tenure. I've been there longer than some people have been alive.
That's choosing a grocery store career.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember going home with that and just sitting there, and I'm like, I was really like, she really blew my little brain. I was like, dang, bro, what have I been doing?
You're like, life is not a one act play.
Yeah. At that time, I had $10,000 saved up, and I'm just like, what do I do with this money? Like, I remember really sitting there like, what do I do with this money? So you do what anybody would do. I'm gonna ask Warren Buffett how to invest your first $1,000. I watched like many of those videos, but Warren Buffett was the one that stood out because I'm thinking him gonna say like, yeah, buy a real estate property or like put it in a Roth IRA. I'm thinking something like that along that lines. He goes, if I could start over and I had my first $1,000 and I was in my 20s, I would invest in myself. And I was like Kobe Bryant in that video. What the fuck does that mean?
Right, because investing in myself could be shoes.
Yeah, like what do you mean by that? And then he went on further, like kind of finding out what you love to do. What are the things that actually make you sing? That would make it all worth it at the end of the day. Like, and when he said that to me, that's when I just went and like traveled more, bought cameras. I got so many cameras on my shelf right now, and it's like bought cameras, streamed. I did all these different things, and I'm just like so blessed, like to like what Bill Gates is. I'm so blessed that I didn't see myself as like
a one stage play.
Yeah, I didn't see myself as this guy who's gonna be a future homeowner and own real estate property, and that was gonna be my future. Until I was 40, basically. Like I'm in a space where like I know how to video edit, I know how to light a scene, I know how to use cameras. I have multiple cameras. Like I'm very blessed in that way, and I would say I'm more happier. I would like to say I'm happier now than I would have been if, say, I would have bought that house and be living in the house in Fresno, working at Save Mart. Like, I'd be super duper happy. Mm-hmm. Like, so that was just like how I felt about that.
Yeah. I feel like I spent a lot of my like early career in that life is a one act play. Mm-hmm. Really pursuing, like, I for a long time was pursuing just making like a career that would make me good money. And then I found teaching, and it was kind of like, I still want to make a lot of money, but I love this.
But I still want some money.
Like, but the reality is like what I'm good at is teaching. I would love to make money off of doing tarot. I would love to make money making music with other people. But the reality is my skill set is teaching.
Yeah.
That's what I know how to do right now. And so that's the act that I'm in. But that doesn't mean I'm not behind the scenes rehearsing all of my other skills and interests and also exploring them too.
Exactly.
You know? So yeah, I really like that wisdom, and yeah, hopefully those listening maybe are also blessed by it too.
Yeah. Is there any other ones you want to talk about, or?
There was one, it was just because you're not a slacker if you cut yourself some slack. I mean, I think that's obvious post COVID, but you know,
I don't even think it's obvious post COVID.
You don't?
I feel like people went right back to the grind after COVID.
I think there is this contention in society where there are some people who have that expectation for people to operate like we did before, but there is still I think a push against that in that I don't think everybody wants to go back to that. And so I do think kind of, even in higher ed, I'll just use higher ed as an example. We have a growing trend of students, you know, of lower enrollment rates. And then we're also seeing a trend of high attrition of students not finishing classes. And, you know, I know students that I've had personally that, you know, took a step back or hadn't been to class for a month, felt like because of their slacking, they couldn't come back.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, if we have a conversation about what it is you're going through, I'm not seeing you as a slacker. Sometimes you need to cut yourself some slack. I had one student whose sister was, you know, going through some real mental health problems, you know, in terms of, you know, feeling happy and feeling like wanting to live. And when students are experiencing real stuff like that, they should feel supported in cutting themselves some slack in some ways.
Yeah.
You know, not to shame themselves, because there are a lot of students who gave up. There are a handful of students who gave up on themselves even after having conversations with me, and it was purely out of the shame they had for slacking.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I really like that, just in terms of, like, you know, coming to the end of the semester. If I got students from this semester watching this episode, I want to encourage them to, you know, it's okay to cut yourself some slack.
Well, that's why I like the quote that he said in that, because he said, before you begin the next stage of your lives, take a moment and have some fun. Tonight, this weekend, the summer, whenever. You deserve it. And, like, that's the part for me, like, and, like, it's a funny thing because, like, I'm a hustle addict, honestly. Like, if it's up to me, I mean, but I love what I do at the same time. Like, I'm not also doing stuff that I'm like, I'm not hustling for work. Like, I'm hustling like this. Like I said, after this, I'm gonna be going to LA, and I got an interview in LA, you know, but I love, like, that. It gets me excited, you know, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take a step back. Cause like you said, it doesn't matter when it is. Like, if it's tonight or the summer, if it's just a weekend, like, you should, like I said, last weekend, I sat there, was dreading it. I'm like, yeah, no, like, I don't have to do this interview, especially if we're not confirming anything. Like, I messaged him. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. Respectfully, like, it's not like it was an issue. It's more like, you know, we don't got nothing set up. Like, my mind's not in the best place. Like, nah, I'm just going to stay home. That's what I did. I stayed home, chilled, walked around the apartment, you know what I'm saying? Drank water, some fruit, you know, like.
Took care of yourself.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
You know, like, stuff like that. So I think it is very important to not see those times of rest as slacking, but more just what they are. Like, I'm cutting myself some slack. I've been doing a lot.
And this is all I have.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not going to shame myself for that.
Exactly.
Actually, there was one more. It feels relevant to me, and it's, don't underestimate the power of friendship.
Okay.
Briefly, I just want to say, I would say the most recent year, since the beginning of this year, I've been evaluating friendships a lot more carefully. And I had a lot of friends in undergrad. I still have a good amount of friends, but in terms of, like, the power of friendship can either build you up or perhaps, you know, keep you confined to the space people know you to be in. And I guess for me, I'm starting to see some people who I thought were friends that aren't necessarily rooting for me. They're not cheering for me. They're competing against me.
Yeah.
And so just in saying that, I feel like I was very naive in undergrad about how to identify who's really supportive of me versus who's competing against me. And so in that, I just want to encourage folks to, really value and treasure loyal friends, treasure the friends that are cheerleaders and have healthy competition. I don't know, maybe there are some people out there who are willing to accept less than what they deserve in some friendships. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know. I feel like most of all the friends that I have at this time, I'm not talking about anybody in particular that are current friends, but you know, just protect your circle, man. Just be, I don't know. I don't mean to be preachy.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be preachy.
Well,
sorry.
I feel what you're saying. Cause like, I'll say like this is how I remember, I can't remember where I saw that. I don't know if I saw it was on TikTok or Reel, whatever, wherever, if it was a YouTube or whatever. I remember hearing someone say, basically like kind of saying, I think it might've been a podcast talking about like, why don't people work with their friends more often? And some dude brought up a good point. He's like, well, it's also hard to decipher who's really working with you and who's working against you. And like, that's like the most important thing. Cause like, obviously like, we met and I was like I said, I told you I was nervous. I'm like, I want to ask you a new podcast. But I'm like, I don't want to be, I don't know. I just didn't want to be weird about it.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah,
we were able to do that. And it wasn't like a competing thing. It wasn't like, vanity metric thing. Like it was like no, like let's, you're at this position, I'm in this position, we've got the same love for this thing, like why not try it and see what happens.
Exactly.
And I feel like we don't do that enough, but to be fair, I feel like it's hard to tell when if somebody really want to work with you and like grow with you or take advantage of you. Mm-hmm. Agreed. And like, because some people, and it just happens that way. I've had people in my life that and I'm a very giving person as far as information and things like that. Mm-hmm. I've had people, I've gave them the free game, and instead of like working together, they just kind of ran off with it.
I recently had a similar experience. Well, I don't know if you can call it free game, but I recently applied to a full-time position at Sierra College. I don't know if I told you this. I feel like I probably did, but I applied to a position up there, and it's natural that we're going to come across friends that are going to apply for the same position. Mm-hmm. But the conversation around if you're applying is where the friendship, where I evaluate the friendship. So in this case, I had a friend who I wanted to know if they were applying because I felt like the position was definitely a good fit for her. I thought about it though. I was like, but I want a full-time position. I don't know that I really want to tell her about this because I don't want to compete against her for one, but also I want this job. But I thought to myself, I was like, nah, the friendship is important to me and I would want her to have this. I feel positive that there will be another opportunity in the next year or two, and I can wait for that because the friendship's that important to me. I thought about that. So I saw her before the application was due and I asked her, I was like, hey, did you hear about this position? Are you going to be applying? She's like, no, I'm tired. It's been a really tough semester. I'm still thinking about PhD. I'm honestly like, I don't even have the time to complete the application. Cool. I feel like that's a green light for me. I'm like, okay, if she's not going to apply, I really want to work full time, especially at this school. I love working here. It's been growing pains to get to this place, but I would love to work here full time. Well, I roll up to my second interview. And I'm about to take a nap before my interview. I got a good hour. And who do I see walking in to the building? The person who I thought was my friend, who I asked if they applied.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not here to, we didn't have to collaborate on preparing for them, but I know that she had conversations with other colleagues. And for me, it's kind of like, regardless of if it was on your mind or not, for me, my standard of friendship at this point is that you would have been considerate of it.
Yeah.
Because I was. And if we're not operating on the same level of integrity, then I have to be a lot more conscious about how our friendship is working. I'm not saying that the door is closed and locked, but all I'm saying is I can't now trust that you are cheering for me.
Yeah.
Like I was cheering for you. You know,
because you kind of did an underhanded move.
Yeah, you know,
whether purposefully or not. You know.
Yeah. So, don't underestimate the power of friendship. For me, it's a huge lesson in my life right now. I'm just making sense of who it is who's really cheering for me.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, those are the ones that stood out to me. I'm gonna have to watch it though.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty neat, but. I want to go on to, while we're talking about like the power of friendship and whatnot, I want to talk about, I'm not from SAC, I'm from Fresno, but I guess there was a former mayor here, Kevin Johnson, and he recently did something pretty cool in the Sacramento area. I mean, shout out to all my Sacramentans. And he launched the National Black Brewers Association, or the NBBA. Because I guess I found out, shout out to OPB.
Oak Park Brewing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess they were one of the first black breweries. One of the first for real, one of the first black owned ones, because they said
it's black owned because does he own it?
No, I don't know the guy's name, but I think he's part owner in it.
Kevin Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. He's kind of like Daddy Warbucks in Oak Park.
We're gonna have to get somebody to research information. We got to get somebody in here to research information, because I don't know for sure yet. But if I remember reading correctly, I think he was part owner in it. If not, I know there's another guy who owns it, because I follow him and I watch his live streams. But
okay,
yeah, it's like less than 1% of the craft brewers in the nation are black, and the fact that it's less than 1% is blew my mind. So for him, the reason that he started this association, Kevin Johnson, was basically to kind of give people the knowledge and give people the resources to engage in new industry. We don't all have to go get our CDL. We don't all have to we know these ones that make us a lot of money, but there's also equal amount of money in craft brewing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And there's a market for you, because there's no one there, especially if you're a black person. So it was really dope to see him give back in that way. And I kind of just want to know what's your thoughts on him doing something like that?
I think it's great. I like Kevin Johnson's work mostly. He like I said, he's kind of like the Daddy Warbucks of Oak Park. He owns so much of, I would say, the most influential parts of it, mm-hmm. where we hold the Juneteenth. Mm-hmm. Celebration is right there. I would call it on Kevin Johnson corner. You know what I'm talking? You know what I mean? Old Soul. His mom owns Underground Bookstore. And then you've got the Guild Theater. He also, I'm pretty sure, is part owner in Fixins. Mm-hmm. And then I'm sure he had something to do with Slim and Husky's coming in. And I know he lives in one of those townhouses down the shore. He might not live there, but I know that I've seen him going into one of those houses over there. Yeah. I'm just I know this is his corner, this is his block, and I can appreciate how he has elevated black culture in Oak Park. I love hearing this, I don't love hearing the statistic that less than 1% of black people take up craft brewers in the nation, but I love to hear he's addressing that problem.
Yeah.
So,
and creating opportunities, because yeah, I never thought about that, but I like craft beer. I didn't think it was I can never imagine now there's an opportunity, if I have the means, I can go become learn the craft, learn it. No, not the pun, but the craft brewery. That's pretty neat.
I think it's cool. I'm not a beer person myself.
Yeah.
But I do think it's very cool to have. I would love for us to expand the way we experience beer, and I feel like black people are the perfect culture to help expand the way we taste it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how growing that percentage affects the way we consume beer. And actually, it makes sense because if you think about like prohibition, you think about like who really regulated alcohol back in the day, it wasn't us.
Yeah.
So I love to see us reclaiming some power in that industry.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I kind of wanted to talk about just like people, because I remember going back, and this is a tangent, but I remember going back and it was, I don't know if it was Killer Mike or if it was, no, I think it was Dr. Umar. It was Dr. Umar. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about like, for us to have all these wealthy black people, black celebrities, for us to have like no infrastructures, he talking about like schools and grocery stores and things like that. Like, we've seen the Mexican supermarkets, we've seen the Indian supermarkets, we've seen, the banks specifically for certain kinds of people, but for black people, we don't have those different things, and we don't have places where we can give other groups of black people resources. And I remember when he said that, that really did ring in my head for a long time. 'Cause I'm like, he's right. Like, there really isn't there's no place for us to get resources in different areas. Mm-hmm. There's not a black bank for us to go get loans for that will understand what we're trying to do and, not have prejudiced algorithms and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so when I saw this kind of melted my heart, because I'm like, I think it's so dope to be offering opportunities like here's another opportunity for black people to get into something.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put the time in and take advantage of the resources.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, yeah, we're definitely, there's a lot of resources that we need that are just now being created. Yeah. Like, there's also, for example, Sac Black Biz. Mm-hmm. You've seen that before. Yeah, I follow him. With a list of different black businesses in Sacramento. Like, that's one important resource, but there's like so many other lists we need, like I know I worked at California Black Women's Health Project, and we have curated a list of resources related to black mental health in California. Where can you go to get help that's culturally relevant as a black person, right? Yeah. So, yeah, there's definitely a need. I don't mean to belabor your point, but
I think it's important to let people know that, like, we have to be real. There's not a lot of black resources, and there's not a lot of people taking advantage of those resources. Like, I did the interview on my Credit Balance show, I did an interview with Des Washington, and she's talking about how the Black Chamber of Commerce is like, there's a lot of free tools to teach people, because there's a lot of black business owners, but they don't know how to scale their business. They know how to start it and like maintain it, but they don't know how to take your restaurant from one restaurant to 5.
Yeah, but okay, that makes sense. But like, first of all, we like people who are interested in being a black entrepreneur, just because of the name and the history, the like Sacramento Black Chamber of Commerce, that I know that's a place I could go for business resources, but the name inherently does not tell me why. So I think that there's just like a way that we're trying to operate in this system that doesn't necessarily always explicitly make clear what our resources do for us.
Yeah, and that's why they, at least in Fresno, they're big on community outreach. Because like you said, I didn't know what the Chamber of Commerce did, because there's two. There's a Chamber of Commerce,
and the Black Chamber.
The Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And the usually the regular Chamber of Commerce is more like a network. It's like getting in touch with people who are doing stuff, which makes sense if you're already doing stuff. But the Black Chamber, at least from what I was told, is that they offer more resources of how, might give you better ways to manage your money in a business. What this should be looking like.
I think they have a startup program also that you can apply for. If you finish it, you also get a certain amount of money, like a grant after completing the program.
And that's why they have a lot of grants and stuff like that. Like, that the grants to, get you a building in downtown and stuff like that. So I think, it's important to take advantage of these opportunities, because they're out there, and it's, and I'll leave it on this, because I remember there was a guy, I can't remember who it was. but he was a real estate agent. And remember, he said he worked on a project where he came to Fresno to help up black ownership in homes because they found out, like they did a poll or census or whatever, and found out a lot of black people are renting more than they are owning. So he was like, okay, like they created like this kind of like whatever you would say, like they created this program that would help black people, help give black people the means to own their own house, whether that be knowledge or grants and things like that. He said no one showed up.
Where did they advertise?
Well,
that's my question.
That's what I was saying. Like, it's like where they advertise, but it's also the idea that some people feel like they never would even, like, they feel like they don't even have. They think there's like a minimum requirement, and some people won't even show up in that means. So it's kind of like just like, that's why I think stuff like this is so important, because it's the barrier to entry is lower than we think. We always think it, not we, but like it's easy to think that the barrier to entry is higher. It's really not. Like compared to what you're already doing.
Just apply for the resource.
Yeah.
Basically.
So.
Yeah, I would be curious too if anybody that is watching has, like, if any resources come to mind for them. Because I mean, I think of mental health resources. You think of Black business, Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious what other resources are out there that we're not talking about. So
well, even like I remember when I was going applying to college, it was a story they gave where it was like a grant that was specifically for black people. An Asian girl applied for it. She ended up getting it, and then kind of find out why she got it is because not very many black people applied for it, and there was a bunch of extra money.
I mean, I think they should have saved that and just put it towards the next year's scholarship if it's for black people, unless she was biracial. Yeah, but like,
I remember hearing that story.
That's interesting.
But it's like to the story, to the bigger issue that, and I've been there where I'm like, I'm not gonna apply for that. I'm pretty sure somebody already got it. It's like, well, we all got that. We can't all be thinking like that. Not saying all black people think like that, but it's easy for like, even like sweepstakes. Like, I'm not gonna apply for sweepstakes. I'm not gonna win it.
I mean, I get it. Like, it's a lot of work for us to have to be able to like, participate at the level of our white counterparts.
Yeah.
It's annoying that we have to do all that work to get support, to do all this extra research and all this extra learning of where can we be supported, where can we get funding, where can we get knowledge. It's annoying that we even have to do that, but I understand that that's where we are. It's just, I would argue that part of the lack of engagement is because it's unfair to require all these hoops and jumps, of a people who weren't even at the same starting place of the race to begin with. Yeah. But that's not to make an excuse, I just.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fair point. I mean,
I don't want to place it on black people for not applying to these scholarships. You know what I mean? Like,
I wasn't blaming.
We shouldn't even have to. We should be able to go to college for free because it's a reparation if we have ancestors that were part of, the slave trade. Like, their stuff. We should be able to walk into small business, or what's it called? The Secretary of State. Like, we should be able to walk in there and get support trying to start a business. Just on the fact that our ancestors, what our ancestors have done and what we are continuing to do. But I digress. I'm getting a little passionate there.
No, I mean, but it's the truth, It's like, and that's why I say, like, I think it's important for people like Kevin Johnson do what they do. Yeah, because it's like, there is in something like, if there's a general, brewer association, I imagine there's not the same level of understanding that there would be in a black specific association, and
sorry,
go ahead.
Now it makes me think of this study that I wrote in undergrad. Side tangent, but it does apply.
Go ahead.
So in undergrad, I wrote this academic article about Greek letter organizations. At the time, I was experiencing a very interesting conflict, I guess you could say, because I was in a multicultural organization, multicultural foundations, but then you've got historically black organizations, Divine Nine, and you've got historically white organizations, IFC or Pan-Hellenic, and then there's us. And what I was looking at in my research was, how does multiculturalism, how can you do multiculturalism in organizations where the foundation was not about inclusion and multiculturalism? It was about being exclusive to the particular cultures that they serve. And particularly for Divine Nine, that was very important, but in talking about this study, there is a connection. Hold on, sorry.
They're good.
Yeah, craft brewers. I think to myself, like, unless the resources have a foundation of equity or equality for Black people, it's not going to do that for us. So to think, like you said, a general brewers association is really going to help us, it's not. We need specific things for us, because if it's not in the DNA of an organization or a system, you can't change the DNA.
Yeah, not at all.
You got to create a whole new human and hope that DNA is going to be better.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Respectfully.
I don't know. I don't know. That feels like a messy analogy, but that's the best thing I could think about this time. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
I thought it was, like I said, shout out to Kevin Johnson. And
shout out to him.
If you guys are into craft brewing and ever thought about it, look into the NBBA. I think it's pretty cool.
NBBA, even a better acronym too.
Yeah, exactly. So, where are we at? I was gonna say, is there one thing? What's one more thing you want to talk about?
I want to talk about. All right, I'm gonna give you the choice. We have Kanye, transportation etiquette, and we also have Lil Wayne.
I'll let you go.
Okay, well, let's talk about Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne, okay.
Lil Wayne leaving his show early.
Did you hear about that at all?
I didn't. I've just read your notes about it.
So Lil Wayne recently had his end of his tour was in LA. So it's the end of a tour. He's in LA. From the comments of people who were there, they said he showed up late. Some people say 3 hours late. Some people say an hour and a half late. He showed up late. He gets there. He performs for 30 minutes. Let me make sure. Yeah, he performs for 30 minutes. And then after the performance for 30 minutes, he decides to take a break. And in the break, he brings out his smaller artists. So that's Lil Twist, Alan Kubis, Young Money Team, people who aren't on the same level as Lil Wayne. And I guess what the crowd said was like, we didn't know the songs they was playing, basically. Like, it kind of wasn't, it's hard to get hyped because we just don't know the music. We don't really, we came for Lil Wayne. We didn't really come here for them. And Lil Wayne, I guess he got upset because he felt like it was a low energy crowd. So he came outside. It was basically like, we worked too hard for this. We not finna bend over backwards for y'all. The show's over. And left. So obviously a lot of people were upset about it. And I kind of wanted to know, like this, hearing that situation, like, what are your thoughts on all of it?
I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him.
Okay.
Like, I've had classes where that's the energy that I get from my students, and I'm not doing it today.
Yeah.
If y'all want to take the day to be low energy and not bring what we need to have a good time, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Go enjoy the rest of the day and take care of yourselves, because I'm not going to be on stage here performing for a low energy crowd when I need more. Mm-hmm. So I do respect the decision to step away, but I find it interesting that I think the audience's reason is justified.
Yeah.
And so with my students, I usually give us an opportunity to talk about what's going on here or try to evaluate before I react. And I feel like for him, that was just like a reaction. Obviously, he's not going to be able to talk to thousands of people like, what's up? What's wrong with the energy, y'all? No, you're not going to hear through thousands of people. We didn't know the words. So, I feel like everybody being angry makes sense. And I'm not mad at him. But I would be salty to have paid for that. I do think that he does owe people a refund. But did they know those like the younger, like the other artists were going to be there? Or
I mean, I would
part
say
of the show.
I would say like this: when I went to the Chris Brown concert, I didn't know any of the under people. Like I knew the people when I saw them, but I didn't know. I didn't look into who's going to be, opening up for him. Like I'm going for the Chris Brown concert. I'm going for the Chris Brown concert. I don't know who else is coming out.
You know what? Now that you say that, I've been to plenty of concerts where I didn't know the opening act.
Yeah.
But I still vibed.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I'm not mad at him.
Yeah.
I think that people need to start getting checked about that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's at concerts, but because I would be mad if I paid a ticket for a nice concert, especially an artist that I love.
And
but
that's a tough part. Like, because the tough part for me is like, it's hard to explain it because I do know these artists, but I can imagine like this. I'm a big fan of OVO sound. So I'm a fan of Party Next Door, Magic Jordan, Division, like the people, what's his name?
Drake?
Well, yeah, Drake is the main guy, but there's one more guy I'm forgetting. I don't want to forget his name.
Party Next Door?
No.
The Weeknd? He's not OVO, is he?
Roy Woods. Shout out to Roy
Okay.
Woods.
Okay.
So like I know all of them, and I know I got songs of them that I enjoy, and I actually check up on them.
Okay.
So I'm the outlier.
Okay.
But I can easily see somebody going to a Drake concert, only liking Drake, and might hear a Roy Woods or a Party Next Door and be like, "This is not what I came here for."
Drake would no. I went to a Drake concert, and he brought Migos and Sweetie.
Well, I'm just saying, like because young, like I said, one thing about Lil Wayne that I admire is he always would try to bring his artists and like prop him up. That's what when he brought Nicki Minaj and Drake out, and Lil Wayne went in Miami, he was only doing features. And that's something I do admire about him. But I'm like, if Drake was like, I got a new artist I'm trying to put y'all on to, and he brought them out while he's on a break,
I'd support that.
Yeah, I would support it, but like I mean, like it's one of those things where I can see somebody who's like listening, be like, this is not what I came here for though.
No, you know what? Now that I think about it, if I went to a concert and the artist took a break, I would be like, I don't think I've ever been to a concert where the artist took a break. Like usually it's like their break is the first hour of the concert of openers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I said. They showed up late. He showed up late.
And only played for 30 minutes.
And then danced for 30 minutes before. But granted, he old. Danced for 30 minutes. Well, he's athletic, so I can't give him that. But did his performance for 30 minutes. Decided to take a break. Have his guys came out, and I'm like, that's my thing too. If you was going for me, if you're gonna take a break, can I at least have like a
heads up?
A equal caliber artist.
Oh yeah.
Like Lil Wayne is goated. So like if he had 2 Chainz outperform with him. Like if 2 Chainz was out there after, I doubt that would have been an issue.
Yeah, it's like if they would have been his openers.
Yeah, exactly.
It probably would have gone. I don't know. Am I hearing this right? Where they weren't his openers?
No, they were just performing during his 30-minute break.
Yeah. I don't blame the audience. I don't blame Wayne.
Yeah, like I think he's justified in feeling the way he's feel, but I also feel like he was empathetic that, bro, you were late. And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
You don't want. He's Lil Wayne. But it's kind of tough because like as a fan, I'd be like, damn, Wayne, like, especially like if you're the fan, like you're like I can still get with catch the beat even though I don't know the lyrics. I can't expect everybody to catch the beat though, because we already kind of like the energy's already been tilted. You already been late. We kind of already like, damn, where you at, Wayne? Come on, man, what's going on? What was going on? And finally he's here, and then you kind of barely built the crowd up with a 30-minute performance.
Yeah. And
then you're like, all right, I'll take a break. Huh?
And if you're late, I'm tired. After a certain point, I'm tired at the concert, and I can only give you so much more energy.
Not to mention you add alcohol, you add in drugs. It's like, listen.
And then you give me artists I don't even know in the middle of the break. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. How do you want me to be? How do I maintain that excitement?
Yeah. I ain't mad at the fans.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I get them.
I just thought I've never been in a situation. I mean, the closest situation I've ever been to was that Kanye West canceled his tour.
Oh, what'd you think about that?
I was heartbroken because he was going to come near me.
Yeah.
And I was the first time I was ever going to pay money to go to a Kanye West concert. And I'll never be able to go to a Kanye West concert now because of that. Unless he drops another one and I have some money in my pocket. But I'm not offended by it. I'm offended by it. But like, he had a mental breakdown. I can't be mad at him. But like, dang, he chose his health over me. How could you?
Yeah.
But at the same time,
that's how my students are sometimes. But we were looking forward to class. But I needed a mental health day, y'all.
Yeah.
No, they're very supportive.
Yeah, no, but that's
cute,
what I'm saying. Like, in this situation, I just feel like, I'm not an artist, so I take what I say with a very large grain of salt.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot that goes into it, but I just feel like, especially when you're talking about business transaction, these people paid this amount of money, especially if you're a big artist, they paid a large amount of money to come see you. I feel like this is kind of in tangent with the Frank Ocean situation where he did what he did. There is an expectation for you to deliver. Because I didn't pay the money for you, like, to not deliver. And, like, granted, people's expectations should be adjusted, but I don't feel like people should be left hanging. If it's like, bro, you came out to, I'm not, no disrespect, but, like, you had I Love McConan cover you while you was gone. Like, bro, I only know 2 songs by I Love McConan. Like, what you want me to do? There's so many artists out right now, especially there's so many artists out right now that I don't, if I'm into my little indie crowd, like, I don't know. I don't know any of them other than Little Twist.
Yeah, I don't either.
So it's like, and they start performing, it's like, what you want me to do? I'm trying to listen to see if they're good. And if they're not good, it's like, what you want me to fake it?
I'm not going to pretend.
Want me to fake it till
I'm
you
not
come
a pretender.
Back?
Yeah.
Woo! Where's Wayne? Woo! Like, so I felt like,
yeah.
I can't say if he's wrong or right because I'm not in his position, but I feel like the delivery should have been there. And I feel like you already messed up by being late and then you left early. I'm like, you kind of left people hanging. This live stream got canceled because he was late. And then, we don't know the situation why he was late, but I just understand.
I know his daughter had a recent home invasion. So, who knows what's going on in the family.
Yeah.
But still, you're right. If you're a performer, and whether that's an artist or even like an instructors that have their own sense of performance, you do have a responsibility to fulfill your requirements. And I think for artists like Lil Wayne, like, canceling a show is like canceling the whole class, not just one class for you to get your attitude together. Yeah. So if he would have said before he went on break, hey, y'all, the energy's a little low. I need to see y'all show my people some love before I come back out here.
I mean, I feel like artists have done that before.
Exactly. I don't know if he said that, but coming back to your point about delivery, I think that maybe if he said that, he might have got some of the love. And that's what I mean by how I address my students.
Yeah.
I try to give them the space to clarify what it is I'm missing, but also hold them accountable to showing up too.
Yeah.
Because just because you paid for this class
don't mean nothing to me.
I mean, you're not entitled to getting this 1000% level performance every time if you're not giving that energy back.
Yeah, like you want me to, like I said, you want me to always show up, but you got to show up too.
Exactly. It's an exchange. This is not just I'm giving to you. And I would say the same for artists. I don't think that concerts are just I'm here to give to you. It is an exchange. But oftentimes, because people pay so much money for tickets, they treat it like that.
Yeah, exactly. That is true. I mean, we heard that about the Beyonce tours. Like, if I'm going to pay all this money for the Beyonce tour, it better be
everything.
Be worth it. And what worth it means to one person is not worth it to the next person.
Exactly. So
yeah. Well, guys, I think we're on our tails end.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Anything you want to? I don't know. I always say announce like a weirdo. Like, what are we announcing? Is there anything we want to announce?
Well, actually, what I want to ask listeners, if they care to comment.
Yeah, if you guys made it this far, do us a favor, like, comment, subscribe. And Allie has a question for you. Like I said, if you made this far, we got a question specifically for you.
I do, and my question was about good, bad, and ugly.
Okay.
Because we proposed some topics last time, but I want to know from the audience, like, a topic they'd like us to respond to for good, bad, and ugly. If they can remember that game, we basically look at different topics and identify if it's good for society or Black culture in particular, bad for Black culture, or the ugliest part, right? So a couple of topics. I just want to know if people have a preference of what they want to hear us respond to.
Okay.
You know, if that's cool.
Yeah.
The topics that we had left over include...
Okay, here he is. Oh, here you go. So the topics we had were tabloid talk shows, MTV2, Tyler Perry movies. We already talked about reality TV.
I can't see that far.
Black sitcoms.
Ooh. Yeah, we got to do that.
Celebrity couples. So we got a few of them. We're going to have to talk about these. We're going to talk about these at one point.
Yeah, well, we might
do. It's not
do...
a question.
Every now and then we'll come back to a topic or two, but we want to know kind of what's the next topic you want us to kind of evaluate for good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, like what are you guys feeling? Are you guys feeling celebrity couples, MTV2, black sitcoms, woke black social stars, tabloid talk shows, you know?
Do you want to add a new category to the game for us?
Go ahead.
Let us know.
It's your guys' world. We just live in it. But guys, again, this is the Special Friends Podcast. I'm your boy Wuzi.
I'm Professor B.
And
thanks for listening.
Appreciate you guys.
See you next episode.
Peace.
Peace.